Okay, so to answer Paul's question about online video, I'm going to try and attempt a very thin metaphor, so bear with me. In terms of sort of describing the differences in terms of visual storytelling and the different forms there are, I would argue, first of all, that cinema is like an oil painting, like this. Okay, so it's on a bigger canvas. It takes a lot more time to produce. The materials that you need to produce it are a lot more expensive, and obviously the item itself is more expensive relatively to enjoy as well. So that's cinema. And then continuing the rather ropey metaphor as well, I'm going to argue that TV news and documentaries and things like that are more like a colouring book. I've had to borrow my med student flatmate's anatomy colouring book here, and this isn't obviously to put down television in any particular way, but the point I guess I'm making is that with a colouring book, as with television, the lines are already drawn, the formulas are very much in place, and actually creating TV documentaries and TV news pieces and that sort of thing is very much about colouring inside some lines that are already very well drawn. And that brings us on to online video. And I think online video is pretty much this piece of A4 paper and a biro. Really nice and simple, very cheap and accessible to almost everybody. The materials are very cheap, a lot quicker to do, and also the other important thing about the piece of paper, I think, is that it's blank as well. And I think one of the great things about online video, because it is such a new medium, I mean 6 or 7 years old now, that the canvas very much is clear and the rules are yet to be written. And I think it's very exciting to be working in online video now, because the people making films at the moment are the ones who are going to be writing the rules over the next kind of 10 to 15 years or so. And I think for that reason, that as visual storytellers working in online video, we should really be taking our cues from cinema and the early days of cinema, and really understanding, just as they were trying to do in the 1900s, how this camera and then editing different images together can convey meaning and tell stories. I think we need to understand it in that kind of very basic way, rather than trying to ape television and doing all that sort of thing. Obviously there's lots of difference in how online video is consumed from documentaries or broadcast TV, of course. People say we have a shorter attention span online. Well, at least we prefer shorter videos. Often when we're watching it on a laptop like this. So, we're sat on an office chair probably, and we're sort of hunched over, not particularly comfortable. It might be one of the reasons why we don't have much of a tolerance for online video, as opposed to TV, of course, when you're sat back reclining in a sofa with a glass of wine in your hand or something like that. I do think, though, that all the boundaries between these different mediums are going to blur very soon. IPTV is still quite new, but I think in the next kind of 5 or so years, when it becomes a mainstream thing and there's an IPTV box in everyone's home, that the boundaries are really going to be blurred. And I think there'll be a day in the not too distant future when you'll come home from work and you could turn on the TV if you like, watch BBC One or Channel 4 or something, and watch a documentary there, or you can go onto iTunes and you can buy a short documentary that's been made by an independent filmmaker and uploaded. You'll pay maybe 50 or 70p for it or something, and it will get streamed straight onto your big widescreen TV, and you'll have you'll be able to enjoy that content, but while also sort of relaxing and in the same way that you'd watch TV. So I think they're the sort of differences, I guess, in how online video is made and how it's consumed.